Today on Weekend Wankshop, I'm going to show you guys the rhythm and lead parts to a classic Megadeth riff that you might be playing mega wrong. Hey there boys and girls, and welcome to a brand new installment of Weekend Wankshop, here with your best buddy, Uncle Ben. So over the past several weeks I've done a whole bunch of these kind of decoded classic riffs videos, and they've been going over really well with you guys. And ever since I started putting them up, I've gotten requests from a ton of you guys to cover the main riff to Poison Was the Cure by Megadeth. Like I mentioned in my Take No Prisoners video, the official Megadeth Rust in Peace tab book is a major piece of garbage. Basically nothing in there is transcribed right. And the rhythm and lead parts to this riff are way off in that book. Thankfully, I was able to find the isolated lead guitar and rhythm guitar tracks here on YouTube. If you search for them, you can find them too. And I put those into Logic and slowed them down and listened to them bit by bit by bit to figure out, note by stinking note, what is going on with this riff. Along the way, I found a few surprises in the lead guitar part of this riff that are totally different from what I thought they were. They're very different from what I perceived when I just listened to the record and heard it mixed with the drums and the rhythm guitar part and all that stuff. There's one lick in particular that might have you guys scratching your head and wondering if I'm right about it. I was wondering if I was right about it too, but I'll show you exactly what I did in Logic to figure it out, and I'll show you note by note, frame by frame, what is going on with this riff to make you a believer too. But before we start getting into it, let's hear it again at Step Dave speed. And as always, for a full tab for this week's mega lesson, you can find that on my Instagram page over at Ben Eller Guitars. So be sure to drop me a follow, find this week's lesson, learn how to play it, and then upload a video of yourself shredding through it along with the hashtag Weekend Wankshop. This is in standard tuning and it is super fast. I'll show you Dave's part first, which is the simple one with the little 2-string bars in it. Okay, so Dave's part here is really easy. You're going to play the A string open, then you're going to do a little bar right here on the D and G strings, fret number 2. Then you're going to hit those same 2 strings, D and G, only open, and then back to barring them on fret 2. So now you got. After this, what you're going to do is take your bar and move it straight up onto the next 2 strings. So I'm on the A string 2 and D string 2 right now. I'm going to strike both of those, and then I'm going to hit D and G open. So that whole thing will go. After this, you're going to play the open A again, your 2nd fret D, G bar, then open on the D, G. Then you're going to have a couple of power chords here. A D power chord, fret 5A, fret 7 D. A C power chord, which is 3rd A, 5th D. And a B power chord, which is 2nd A, 4th D. So that is the first half of Dave's riff. For the second half of Dave's part, you're going to start off with the A, your 2nd fret D, G bar again, open D, G, 2nd fret D, G, 2nd fret A, D, open D, G. That's the same little passage as before. And then this next part's a little bit different. You're going to play A, 2nd fret D, G bar, open D, G, and then these 3 power chords. So this is a D power chord, 5th A, 7th D, an E flat, which is 6th fret A, 8th fret D, and lastly an E, which is 7th fret A, 9th fret D. So all together for Dave's part, you got. It's worth noting that if you watch Dave live now, he plays that riff a little bit differently. He plays it pretty much all here in the 5th position, probably so that way he's not scooting all over the neck and trying to sing at the same time. I'll put the tab for That Way on the Instagram page too. And now for the lead guitar part, which is really freaking hard. So kind of like Dave's part, this follows a part A, part B, part A again, part C pattern. So it's kind of an A-B-A-C sort of pattern riff. Let's talk about part A. That is part A right there. I'm starting off with the A string open, D string fret number 7 pulling off to 5, A string 7, D string 5. So you got, after this what you're going to do is to play the 6 on the A, hammer on to 7. So you got, then on the D string you're going to play 5, hammer on to 7, pull back off to 5. So now you got, and then you're going to play 7th A, 5th D, and then on the A string you're going to play this. You're going to play 7, 6, pulling off to 5. It's important to notice that there's a fair amount of legato in there. It's not all picked or anything like that. Be sure to watch the tab really closely. So that'll be pull off, hammer on, pull off, pull off. That is part A. Let's take a look now at part B. This is the part that's a lot different from what I thought that it was. Different from every tab I've seen, different from every cover I've seen. And you're going to be skeptical, but I'll prove it to you later. Keep watching. This is going to start off with A open, 7th D pulling off to 5, 7th A, 5th D, and then you're going to play the 6 on the A hammering on to 7. So that's, and then this lick on the G string. This is the part that's kind of weird. So I'm playing the 7th G pulling off to 5, pulling off to open. And then the next thing you're going to do here is 5 pulling to 2, pulling to open. And then the 4th fret G. So that section sounds like. Okay, a few things about this section. If you listen to the isolated guitar, most of the time that little line that goes 6 to 7 on the A before it jumps to the G string, a lot of times it sounds like he doesn't quite catch that 7, and you'll just hear this. Just the 6 before the G string lick. I suspect that's because at that tempo it is really hard to reliably do 6 hammering to 7 and then immediately be on that 7th fret G string cleanly. So if you listen, there's a few times in there where you'll hear just the E flat note and not E flat E. Now as for that G string lick right there, most of the tabs and lessons I see for this have you playing something that kind of reminds me of the end of the Cowboys from Hell solo riff. That's what most of the tabs that I see having you play, and that is not what's going on. Again, stay tuned, more on that later. So far you've had the A section, the B section, then you're going to play the A section again. So that's exactly like what you played before. And then we play the C section. It's going to go like this. Starts off with your A string, D string 7 pulling to 5, 7th fret A, 5th fret D. That's all really familiar from the previous sections. Then you're going to play the 6th fret A hammering on 7. So that's, and then this lick. Now this is 5 on the A pulling to 3, pulling to open, 6 pulling to 4, pulling to open, and then lastly the 7th fret A. Just kind of feels like that lick is creeping up the neck, which is a typical Dave Mustaine-ism. A lot of tabs I see for this either just have you going or catching the power chords that Dave is playing, but I assure you it is this kind of chromatic walking up riff. So altogether you'll have the A section, the B section, the A section, and then the C section. So now let me show you exactly how I figured out what's going on with that G string lick, because I know there's going to be a lot of people out there saying that that's wrong. Check this out. Maybe I can convince you. Okay, so I took the isolated lead guitar track from Poison Was the Cure, which you can find on YouTube, and I ripped that and dumped it here into Logic. Now, this little yellow bar that you see up here at the top is a loop that I've created so that whenever I hit play, I can just listen to that one riff over and over and over again. That's something I do a lot of the times whenever I'm transcribing stuff. So that is still extremely fast, and it's hard to tell what's going on, but thankfully Logic has this Varispeed function that I can use to slow it down a little bit. So let's hear it again at the slowest that Logic will let me do it. It preserves the pitch perfectly. The audio gets a little bit garbled, but you can still tell what notes are going on here. So let's focus on the part in question here. For years, I could have sworn that he was doing something like this. But using the trick I'm about to show you, I figured out that I was doing that wrong. Check this out. Okay, so you can hear that that lick is 7 notes long. The cool thing that I can do is I can shorten that loop to a short enough little span here to where I just hear a single note being repeated over and over when I hit the play button. So you can hear very clearly that that first note that we're hearing is the D note on the 7th fret G string. So there's the first note. Now the second note, if I put the loop right where that second note is occurring, sounds like this. Again, very clearly the 5th fret G string C note. So that's 2 down, 5 to go. So next, if I move the loop to the next note, which would be about right here, we'll hear the open G string being sounded. Just like that. Again, that's very clearly the G. Most tabs that I see for this have you playing an A note on the 7th fret D string, but clearly that is not the 3rd note in the run. So after that G note, I've moved my loop over to the next section right here where we'll hear the 5th fret G string C note. Eureka! And if I move it over again here, you'll hear the A note, 2nd fret G string. Clear as day. I moved it over again and you hear where it's pulling off from the 2nd fret G string to the open G string to the G note. So that's 6 of the 7 notes, so far we have. And then when I move it over again, you'll hear the last note, the B note, on the 4th fret G string. And there it is, all 7 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Crazy, huh? Hopefully that's kind of a look at the amount of trouble I go through for you guys to make these videos, and an idea about some cool tricks that you can use to transcribe stuff absolutely perfectly, even if it means, like I said, taking that loop and shortening it down to where you can just hear note by stinking note what is going on with some of those riffs. Thank you guys again so much for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. You guys can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Eller Guitars. You can go like my Facebook fan page over on facebook.com/Uncle Ben Eller. Also, if you're interested in booking some one-on-one Skype lessons with me, be sure to drop me an email, benellerguitars@gmail.com. Thanks again for watching, and be sure to drop me a comment letting me know what classic riff that you've always seen transcribed and taught badly that you would like to see covered correctly on a future Weekend Wankshop. Stay tuned for another sick lick next week. Cheers, guys.